My name is Paige Grudzian. I am the community organizer for the Stop Underage Drinking and Drugs Coalition here with the Guidance Center. I will be one of your hosts, and I'm here with Destiny Warren. I'll let you introduce yourself.
I'm a sophomore at Woodhaven High School, I'm a sophomore at Woodhaven High School, and I am a part.
Oh. Yeah. Thanks for letting us know.
Yeah, that's about it. I really don't know what to say.
All right. So yes, so Destiny is one of my Youth Advisory Board students that works with me on our teen coalition. And so now I will have our panelists introduce themselves, starting with Matt.
Sure. So my name is Matt Burnell. I'm a school social worker at Carlson High School over in Gibraltar.
Hi, my name's Cody, and I'm a senior at Southgate Anderson High School.
Hi, my name is Summer Matkin. I am a junior over at Southgate Anderson High School.
My name is Betsy Kanagawa. I am also a senior in high school. No? Okay. I am a school counselor at Patrick Henry Middle School in Woodhaven. I'm also a licensed professional counselor.
So what I'll do is I'm going to have each of you take a couple minutes to just kind of talk about your experience with anxiety and how that impacts your day-to-day. So just like a few minutes to run through that.
Sure. So as an adult, actually in college and all that, I did have some experience with anxiety. Getting through that, I relied on my friends a lot. Just, we actually had a code word where if I texted them, they would be like, oh, we got to go hang out. And we'd all, go to the cafeteria, get some food, just do something fun just to get us all out of the rooms, because it can be hard sometimes.
Yeah, I experience anxiety like every single day. It affects me when I'm going to school. Like, I can't show up to certain classes sometimes, or I'll need to hang out with friends. I'll be like, hey, like, I need to hang out right now because, like, it's just, my anxiety's bad, and they'll usually understand. Or I'll just like have panic attacks sometimes where it's like I feel like it's unnecessary and I'll overthink it. So yeah, it's hard to get through like day-to-day stuff.
My experience with anxiety is kind of in a weird form. I consider myself a very big people person and a very big extrovert, but with that comes a public image. It comes in many forms, with you being this person that everyone loves, but the days you can't be that person that everyone loves, you have strong amounts of anxiety. You have bad days, and then people ask you what's wrong, and you don't know how to respond because the response is not what they're going to expect. But I think my anxiety definitely does affect me in a lot of big social scenarios, even though I love talking to people, but yeah.
I would say my experience with anxiety first is professionally working with and supporting students with anxiety and kind of understanding their experiences in the best way that I can support them in the school setting. And then also when I became a mother, many people know you start having a lot of anxiety just about raising your kids and all the decisions you have to make. And I have some specific phobia related to my own death and leaving my kids early, and that's been difficult to deal with since having kids.
So I'm gonna ask the first question, and then you can kind of just like pass it out, right? Whoever wants to answer it. So the first question is, how do you know you're experiencing anxiety, and what does it feel like?
So the first really big sign with me is I lose focus almost immediately on what I'm doing. If I'm in class, if I'm taking notes or any sort, or if I'm working on a personal project, I will instantly lose all focus on it. And my chest will start to be really tight, my breathing will get really, really, really rapid, and my heart will start racing. Sometimes I even have to go step outside to get fresh air just to rehabilitate myself in some way. But my biggest red flag is the mix of the tight chest, the clouded head, but also the focus I always have instantly being snapped away from me. So.
I also have that moment where I can't really focus. My hands will get super sweaty. I'll start having these rapid thoughts in my head, and they're all super negative. But I'll just have to leave and ground myself in what's going on around me. So.
I'd say for me, it's also those cognitive distortions where you get a headache and it goes from headache to I must have a brain tumor. If I go to the doctor, they won't believe me, so it's going to get bigger. I'm going to die in 3. It like accelerates very quickly in my head, which now I'm panicking, my heart's racing, I feel nauseous, almost like dizzy from all these thoughts, and just like that high blood pressure, your heart rate is up, so and it goes from 0 to 1,000 very quickly.
So something I've actually heard too from a few people I work with and personally is there's this just guttural sinking feeling too, like your chest gets super heavy, you feel like you can't breathe. I've had some students actually compare it to a heart attack, which is a terrifying concept, but it's what we genuinely feel. So it's pretty scary sometimes.
Okay, those are good responses. I like those ones. Okay, what are ways to deal with anxiety during class, like during the day, during school?
Ooh, I'll take this first. So actually, as a school social worker, I have a lot of students who have anxiety, who I work with every day with their anxiety attacks. One of the most common techniques I recommend is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. Show of hands who's heard of it. Yes, it's very popular. See the Gibraltar social workers up there. So the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique is something you can do literally sitting here right now. So if anyone wants to try it, I highly recommend it. So it focuses your 5 senses on your surroundings and kind of forces your brain into that, into that forward frontal cortex. So basically, you're going to look around and you're going to recognize slowly, consciously, 5 things that you can see. So for example, I can see the camera, I can see the chairs, I can see all of you guys, I can see the lights, all that sort of thing. Then you're going to focus on 4 things that you can actually touch. So your clothes are touching you, you're touching the chair, you can feel that, you can feel, I don't know, I had a lanyard on earlier, I felt that, that's 4 things. You're going to focus on 3 things that you can hear. So we heard music, you can hear me talking, you might hear someone fidgeting in the chair next to you. You're going to focus on 2 things that you can smell. There's popcorn, there's soda, all that sort of thing. And then 1 thing that you can taste. And that kind of just tricks your brain into realizing that you're here, you're okay, you can start to think clearer, your breathing will start to generally regulate, and it'll kind of just snap you back to reality and what's going on around you. So, great technique to learn.
I was going to say that exact same thing. Yeah, I will be sitting in class and I will just be trying to focus on what's going on around me and realize that I am okay in this moment and no one or nothing is going to hurt me in that moment. It's all about focusing on what's around you, really.
I have used that method quite often as well, but if we want to kind of branch off, I always have something in my hand. A big thing, I used to have a little really small fidget cube on my lanyard or on my backpack or something, and I would just sit there and mess with it. If it's not that, if it's a pencil, it's the corner of my paper, it's my water bottle, it's my Chromebook, it's whatever it is. And if it's not that, I tend to listen to music, obviously not when the teacher's teaching, but if it's a personal work time, I'll put in my headphones. I have a certain playlist I put on that's a lot of songs that are either comforting or slow because it'll bring my heart rate down. It'll help me, I think about the lyrics, I think about the sound, I think about how many beats I'm hearing in 1 second of the song. All of it comes down to that, and I think music is something that is easily a personal therapy for me.
I would say I like to jump in the shower and just have that hot water and a little steam session. I definitely like to talk to somebody, call a friend, or talk to my husband. Definitely deep breathing. With younger kids, I like to do something tactile where you're tracing your hand while you breathe in and then tracing the other way when you breathe out, or blowing bubbles, or something that just takes your focus off of what you're thinking about and onto the breath and focusing on those deep focused breaths. And I think also just mindfulness or progressive muscle relaxation is something that I really like, just to lay down and gently kind of tense different areas of my body, the muscles, and then slowly release. And I like to cook and eat, so I try to have a snack or make sure I've taken care of myself. Sometimes you just need a nap, just close everything up, get some sleep, and see how I feel when I wake up. So a lot of different things I like to try.
All right. All really great suggestions. Our next question, will expressing anxiety make people who depend on me or others see me as weak and unable to help them? So thoughts on that?
I personally think it makes you look strong. So a lot of people, the stigma right now, and our shirts say stigma, the stigma is that it makes you weak, but in reality it makes you strong because you're dealing with something that people in reality don't really know all that well. And by not knowing and by having to put up with that, that's a strength. And just in general, like, you have to deal with something that not many people have to deal with. So.
Personally, people have come to me with their own personal issues if they ever needed to come to me, or I've been told by people that if they need their day to be better, they'll just look for me in the halls or anything. But with that comes a lot of pressure because knowing that you help people just continue on with their normal day, just being you at your best, it's great. But when you're at your worst and you feel these things, it's hard. And when I got, for a long time, I bottled up a lot of my issues. I bottled it all up, I shoved it down, I was like, I'm fine, I'll get through it. Bottles open when they're too full. And I, for a very long time, drained myself. It was over the course of quarantine as well. I wasn't around my friends at all, I wasn't around a lot of my peers, and it made it a lot worse. But knowing that a lot of people come to me for those kinds of like positive moments and things, and when I'm not doing the best and I can't provide that, it does make me feel weak sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. If I were to just start talking, and let's say if I had to talk to someone else about something, I get a little nervous because I'm like, what if they're coming to me because they need that emotional support, and I don't have that for them. I don't have the spoons to do that. But it is hard, and of course I want to sit here and say you're strong for doing that, but sometimes you can feel weak. But taking that in and taking it to heart and understanding that I'm not weak for feeling how I feel, that's going to get you at first base, and then just finishing that home run is making sure you get through it and you talk to people, because as long as you're talking to people, you won't be bottling that up. Don't bottle things up. I'm just going to put that out there.
Yeah, I think the resilience and the willpower that it takes to manage anxiety on a day-to-day basis takes a lot of strength, and it's a lot easier to avoid it and to stay home and to not face those things that provoke your anxiety. So I think to manage it in a healthy way is actually the strongest thing you can do, and does take a lot of strength. And that's why it's so hard sometimes, and why it's so much easier just to sit there and panic and tell yourself all this stuff that is not really going to happen, is going to happen, and you can sometimes talk yourself into anxiety. Like, you could just let those thoughts run away. So I think it is much harder to actually manage it in a healthy way, and that's what makes you strong, is all of that just that willpower and resilience that you have to have day to day just to keep going through life, even when you feel like the world is against you, or all that weight on your shoulders that's weighing on you. It's a lot harder to lift that.
Yeah, I think it's very normal to feel weak when you're dealing with anxiety, and personally when I'm going through those attacks that I have, and I only really share those with a select few people, and they sit there and they tell me that I am strong for that. It's a really nice feeling to know that somebody else understands what I'm feeling in that moment, and somebody knows that I am strong for having these feelings. So you aren't weak for having anxiety or having some sort of disorder, it's not a weak thing. You have a lot of stuff going on inside of your brain, and you are very strong for getting through that,
I agree with all of that. That was great. Y'all doing so good. Yay. Okay. But the next question is, how would you deal with the fear of judgment at school?
So yeah, this one's for our students up here.
As a high school student, I would say most kids are in their own little world 99% of the time. Like, they are not focusing on the kid 2 feet away from them or across the room or whatever. They are focusing on how you are seeing them, So I wouldn't necessarily panic about how others are seeing you or judging you, because I promise you they're doing the same exact thing.
Yeah, I have to agree on that, because something I've specifically seen with both Cody and I's class, we go to the same school, a lot more people have been a lot more supportive of each other, I feel like. I've seen a lot more positivity, even when people are at their worst. We went through COVID together, I think. being COVID kids, I think, was one of the biggest parts of it. But as Cody said, everyone's kind of, they're not saying that they're to themselves, but they're worrying about themselves. As much as you're looking at them and going, oh my gosh, are they going to judge me? They're looking at you going, oh my gosh, are they going to judge me? It's very much a reciprocated thing. And I think especially now, like, even if it's like, you know, there's always the school stereotypes of the jocks are rude, and like, you know, me and Cody are theater kids, so we're like, oh my gosh, we're so scared of the jocks. No, I have seen these sports kids, and everyone just come out to support everyone, whether it be a club, whether it be a group of people. Easily one of the biggest accepting groups of people, one of the biggest accepting lines of a generation coming through, I think, as well, because I've had people come to me specifically about questions about being LGBTQ in some way. They come to me and are like, so how do you feel about this, this, and this, and how can I respect you in this way? I never would have thought I would have heard that from anyone in my life until I turned around in my yearbook 4th hour and heard someone ask me, how do you want me to refer to you as? It means more because they're not worried about you, but they want to help you as much as they can. So
I have more to add on this. Yeah, I would agree on that. Like, kids are really, really accepting nowadays, like, especially with our classes. Summer's a junior, I'm a senior. I just made prom court as a trans man. I'm running for king, and I think that's really, really cool that, like, kids are that supportive of me to vote for me as prom king. Like, that's never happened before. Like, you don't see that stuff. So I would say that we have, like, this generation that is so supportive of specifically LGBTQ kids right now. And outside of that, just anxiety in general, like, people are supportive. Like, there is this new wave of a generation coming through, and I think it's because of COVID as well. So, yeah.
Congrats on making prom court.
Thank you.
All right, next one. My old anxiety and depression has led me to miss out on a lot. I feel like my entire life has revolved around it. My mindset has been completely crushed. When I try talking to my mom, she doesn't believe it's true. Any advice on how to get the help I'm seeking?
Find those around you who do support you and hold on to them. I have a lot of students who come to me with the same thing, same concerns, and we now all eat lunch together. So Paige comes to our school every Monday, and we have a lovely lunch group. I'm sure the high schoolers know the lunchroom is a jungle, and it could be very anxiety-inducing. And those students really found each other. They help each other through it. They're the most supportive together. So yeah, definitely find people who support you and lift you up. They can be there through it. They'll invite you to things. Some of our assistants here tonight actually are in that group too. So it's a great group.
Yeah, there's also free therapy, I know, in this area at Wayne State University. They offer for, I think, like 14-year-olds, like teenagers between like 14 and 18 or whatever, they have free therapy. And I didn't even know that was an option until I talked to my school counselors. So you have people that support you within the school, which are your counselors, but if you don't feel the most comfortable going to them, you do have options of free therapy. There's even hotlines and stuff like that that you can text and be like, hey, like, I need some sort of support right now. And what he basically said, friends as well that support you, because I know that they've helped me a lot as well.
Once again, falling back onto the idea of camaraderie, you will find a lot more people than you think who also experience, whether it be extreme or mild anxiety. Like, you will find those people. I can say at least my people I keep around me, we all have very similar experiences with anxiety. So if we need help, we go to each other. School counselors are good. I also agree. Free therapy, I personally do have a therapist. And it does help. It does help because it is hard for you to look at your parents and say, I'm feeling this way, because you don't really know how they're going to react. You don't understand how they feel until they give it to you. I know at least my sister Kaylee, she experiences very high levels of anxiety and depression. She was probably one of the first people I came to about it. And I'm not going to lie and say I was afraid to go to my parents. I was afraid. Mainly just because I was always this happy-go-lucky kid, and the second I felt if I turned to them and said, hey, I don't feel right, I felt like I was gonna get shut down because I wasn't the kid they knew for so many years. So, yeah. Okay, cool.
All right. And reminder, you have school social workers, I'm sure in your school, that are a great resource to reach out to.
There's 2 in this auditorium, or 3 in this auditorium right now. From
Yes.
Gibraltar.
So if you don't know who your school social worker or counselor are, I would recommend reaching out to them as well. All right, next one. I noticed a commonality of a sense of inadequacy, lack of confidence, low self-image in some of the situations through angst. How can you improve that for yourself?
I feel like I'm answering all the questions. I'm sorry. You guys are gonna hear my voice. So personally with me, if on the documentary, finding the words core fear helped me realize a lot. My core fear personally is failure. Not living up to the expectations of those around you, but more importantly, the adults in your life. Whether it be parents, friends of parents, aunts, uncles, all of it. They have a standard for you. And whether it feels like it or not, it might be subconscious. Sadly, it is there. But with me, the way I got through it was, for a very long time, I have felt confidence come a lot easier to me. So that's why when I'm hearing these experiences from the documentary, I understood, but kind of feeling them from my perspective was a little bit different. But there would be those times where I'd look at myself and be like, wow, I really don't like who I'm looking at in the mirror. I don't like who that is. And the constant fear of failure is going to loom over you. But what I did personally was I took jumps. I took opportunities and I took leaps. I braced the anxiety that would come with it. Cody would know, we are both in drama club, so we are in front of stages, we're in front of crowds on stages twice, 3 times a year, quite often. So feeling to take that jump of, I'm gonna try and get a lead role in this show, helped me, feel that fear of failure and also try and overcome it. And that's not gonna be everyone. It could even be finishing an essay in time or studying hard for a test and seeing your grade come back great. Not what you expected, but you can know you tried your hardest. It's all about mindset. And as clouded as the mind may become, you need to realize that you can push through that fog. And it's hard, but if you have the right support, I'd say definitely take leaps, take jumps, take opportunities, talk to people when you can. All 4 of those things are going to lay out the perfect way to get through it, because you only feel failure if you don't try, I think. So.
Yeah, I think we live in a society that really prioritizes achievement right now. If you think about just like youth sports and the achievement level, it's so much higher than when I started softball in middle school. You can't do that now. You have to have been playing for years. They're doing travel. Most families' schedules revolve around sports and clubs and activities, and it's from one to the next. I talked to somebody who goes right from basketball, and then they've got to go to I can't remember the other sport, another sport right after that, and then they got to fit their homework. And we have really in that with a college-going culture. We want to encourage everybody to be able to go to college, which means you have to achieve at a certain level. So I think that sense of inadequacy really is impacted by the fact that we're pushing kids so much earlier and so much harder to achieve at such a high level, and telling them if you don't, here's all the things that may happen. And I think that's a large part of it. And I think we've taken away a lot of kids' home responsibilities because we're so busy. And I think parents are so busy that it's easier just to have them doing something than, just to sit at home. And so I feel like, they're not having to deal with problems the way we used to because they're just busy all the time, or they're looking at a screen. And we have so much access to media, social media, and just seeing people all over the world and what they have, and a false sense of what they look like, and just the best parts of their life. So I feel like, who wouldn't feel inadequate when you're looking at photoshopped people and the best parts of their lives all the time, and one after another? TikToks are less than 3 minutes, and if it's even 3 minutes, you're scrolling past because it's taking too long. So I just think we're in a society that makes us all feel very inadequate, and I feel like as parents, sometimes we're modeling that by feeling like we're not enough, and then our kids think, well, if they're not enough, I must not. So there's a whole lot. I feel like we could spend the whole time on that. And also, where did you guys come from? I can't believe you're juniors and seniors. I feel like I'm talking to my professional colleagues over here. You guys are amazing, and I want to come work at Southgate. Just kidding, Woodhaven. I love you still, but you guys are awesome. So keep talking.
Okay.
Hello, I'm talking now. So I would say like achievement for me, like sorry, losing like foggy brain for a minute. But college was a big stressor for me. Like as a senior in high school, it's something where it's like, well, this person's going to U of M. Why aren't you going to U of M? You know, this person has a 4.0. And it's like, I have struggled in school so much, and it's so hard to live up to those expectations that like the school puts on you, and they do. Like the second you walk into school, it's immediate, join this club, this club, this club, but also manage 6 classes 5 days a week with a 4.0 GPA and go to an amazing college. Like it's so hard to manage all of that, and they expect that out of us young teenagers, you know, it's overwhelming, I would say. And also outside of the school putting all that pressure on me, like I'm a trans man, so I struggle with that confidence sometimes. And I came out like 5 years ago now, and it was really hard for me because I knew that I wasn't living up to what my family wanted out of me. And that was really upsetting. But I also knew that I wasn't being me if I didn't come out at the time that I did. So I would just say that keep doing what you need to do and be yourself, because if you don't, you're not gonna feel that satisfaction later on in life, you know.
Yeah, so something we've heard across the panel is just the idea that kids and adults now even are faced with so much all the time, and it's overstimulating, and we need an escape from that. So something I actually talk to my students about, and it really is helpful, is when you have just 5 minutes at the end of every day, if you're feeling inadequate or if you're feeling down, take 5 minutes for self-care. Do something you love that makes you feel full, whether it be listening to music, going for a jog, doing something intentional to make yourself feel better and to feel adequate and to feel like you can do things. Helps a lot.
That's great. Miss Kanagawa, you can't leave Woodhaven ever, so I don't know what you're saying. But okay, this is the last question for this panel and for everyone here. Thank you guys for coming out. But what is one thing, and I want everyone to answer, so get ready. But what is one thing that you want to tell someone who struggles with anxiety? I know that's hard because it's one thing.
Is there a word limit? I'm kidding.
It's a Twitter.
Right? It's like 180 characters, go.
150 words, go.
6-word story. That's for you guys. Something that I want to emphasize is, like we keep talking about, when you face anxiety, you can feel like you're not enough, or you can feel like the world's crumbling down around you. It's not. We'll all still be here tomorrow. So just keep holding on. You'll make it through. And if you can't, we'll help you.
I want to talk about the guilt that somebody can have after an anxiety attack. Don't feel guilty for that. You are strong. You are very strong, because you have so many things going on inside of your brain that other people aren't aware of, and you can't beat yourself up over that. You know, you're strong for getting through that. Like, yes, that happened, but let's look at the next day. Let's look at the next minute, you know, like 5 minutes from now, whatever. Like, you're strong for getting through that. So.
First, find your people. Find the people that are going to empower you and make you feel your best, because if you're stuck with people that you know aren't helping you and you know are deterring you, get away from those people. Make sure you find the people that are going to empower you and lift you up when you feel like you've hit rock bottom. But if I had to sum it up in just a few words, it's all going to be okay.
I would say anxiety is treatable. It's not something that you have to suffer with on your own, in isolation, that it's treatable, but you have to take the first step to get treatment, to seek treatment, and to every day say that I can manage this. And this might be something I deal with for a long time. It might be temporary or just through a phase, but you can get through it. You're not alone. And obviously there's so many people who can be there for you, who understand what's maybe not exactly what you're going through, but want to be there for you. So just reach out and to seek treatment.
Thank you. Can we give our panelists a big round of applause? That was awesome. and our moderators. Just a couple of announcements. If you have questions that we didn't get to or have some concerns that you want more information about, you can talk to anyone in the, I'm going to call it the breezeway area, that has on the Everybody versus Stigma shirts. Those are volunteers and staff from the Guidance Center. Also want to mention that the Guidance Center is here to help as well. We are located in Southgate, but we serve the whole Downriver community. So if you want more information about the Guidance Center, please see one of us and we can get that information to you. And then I think if you have questions and you want to email, I'm going to let Paige handle that.
Yeah, so we didn't get to all the questions. We will, like I said, before the movie started, we're going to get those typed up and sent out to the email that was registered for the event. And the panelists have offered to stick around in the breezeway to answer any questions that you might have for them as well.
Thank you guys for coming. Have a great evening.